Hey Internet, Caligula here and welcome to another video. This is my second video in a trio of videos, all inspired by the Netflix series Bates Motel. And Bates Motel, if you don't already know, is inspired by the characters in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, namely Norma and Norman Bates, who are the proprietors of this hotel and the other house that sits on the same property. So like I just said, this video is the second of a trio of videos. The first video was a create a sim of Norma and Norman. And as you can see by the title, today we are doing a speed build of the motel part of Norma and Norman's property. I might as well go ahead and tell you what the third video is going to be, since it's going to be really easy to guess already. But the third video is going to be the Bates house, which is this beautiful Queen Anne. I'm excited to build another Queen Anne. I think that the house that I recently built from American Horror Story, the house called Murder House, I believe that was also a Queen Anne, and I just really enjoy building that style of home. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you that video on, what day am I uploading it? I think on Sunday? Yeah, look out for that on Sunday. So I actually had to use two lots for these two builds. Both lots are in Brindleton Bay, and the two lots are actually very close together, and one of the lots is on top of a hill, and the other lot sits on the lower end of that hill. So actually the landscaping of the two lots and how they're connected is quite similar to the incline of the property in the show. There is even a way to access the house from this lot through a set of stairs, although it doesn't look anything like that huge set of concrete stairs that's in the show, which I really wish I could have mimicked. I don't know, maybe I'll try to give this build another shot sometime in the future, but in the meantime, I really like just how simple of a solution choosing those two lots. I think one of them is called like Hindquarter Bend in Brindleton Bay, and the other is the one next to it. I don't remember what the other one is called. I thought that that was a really simple solution, and even though the exterior isn't as dramatic as the exterior of the property in the show, I still think that it works pretty well. Anyway, I should actually talk about the build, shouldn't I? So building this motel was pretty simple. I just had to figure out what the right room size was. So the way that I decided on the dimensions of the rooms was that I just thought about what furniture items I would want in each of them, and then I just placed those items in a little box and made that box as small as possible, and then multiplied that box as much as I could on the lot size. It's not a huge lot. I think it might be a 30 by 20 lot, but I was able to fit, how many rooms? I was able to fit an office and I think 8 rooms on this lot, which I think is quite a lot. Sorry, go ahead, you can unsubscribe. I think that there are actually, well, I know that there are at least 9 rooms in the show because there's even an episode titled The Man in Number 9. I think that there are actually more than that. I think that there are actually 12 rooms in total in the motel, but I didn't really want to furnish 12 rooms, and 8 rooms looked enough like the motel in the show, I guess. I don't know. I did my best given the lot size. I think when you're doing builds or anything that's inspired by something else, it's of course going to look different in some ways because there are lots of areas in which you have to make compromises. So when you're building or doing whatever it is that you're doing, you just have to constantly ask yourself, well, what's most important to me? And go with that. And in the end, hopefully it looks like what you were inspired by, but in any case, it's probably gonna look good, so don't sweat it too much. One thing that I really wish I would have had for this build was a more yellow siding, because I think that the siding here works. It's kind of like a butter yellow color, and in the sunlight, it looks really nice. But I don't know, I just really would have liked the pop of a brighter yellow, and it would have been a nice contrast to those bright blue doors. I should mention something about this build. So this version of the motel was inspired by what the motel looked like in season 2 after Norma and Norman had fixed it up a bit, and I think that season 2 starts at the beginning of summer or maybe the end of spring. So there are lots of flowers everywhere, and I think that the motel is supposed to have gotten like a paint job and maybe the roof was redone. But anyway, it looks really nice. So even though it's a creepy show, this building particularly is very, very cute. So the size of the building didn't leave me with too much yard to actually landscape. So I tried to put as many flowers as I could on the walkway or the porch or that area, whatever you want to call it. to brighten up the place and give it a bit of texture and give it that season 2 opening vibe. In addition to those flowers, I tried to make the rest of the yard look like the gravel parking lot. I didn't have a lot of room, and if I would have had more room, I would have put a few more cars there to actually make it look like people were staying at the motel. But I guess the motel wasn't really that profitable in the show anyway. So I think I managed to fit in one truck in at the end. But I really wanted to make sure that I was able to fit in the sign without everything looking too cramped. So that was a compromise I made there. Instead of a full parking lot, this Bates Motel's got one truck in the yard. I don't know whose truck it could be. Maybe it's Dylan's. So here I am building the motel sign, and this was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Initially, I was worried about not being able to find a sign that looked at all similar in build and buy mode. And I was also worried that if I did find something that looked similar, that I wouldn't be able to size it up, while also being able to size up the glow of the light. But I was actually just able to use the open sign that's in Simlish, and it looks really wonderful. It still looks like an open sign, but the sign for the Bates Motel is the same colors, blue and red. I think that the no vacancy part of the Bates Motel sign in the show is red, and the other letters are all blue. So even though it kind of still looks like an open sign, I think that when it's sized up, it actually looks like something else. I don't know. If you agree, let me know in the comments. But I was surprised at how easy this sign solution was. It did take me a few tries to get the positioning of it right because I didn't have quite enough room in the yard to put it where I wanted, and I wasn't sure how to angle it. Like, do I point it towards the road? That seemed to make more sense, but also, like, the sign is facing the sim who is driving past it, even though there are no cars in The Sims 4, so that wouldn't actually happen. Anyway, on to the interior of the build. So, because I was building a motel, I thought it would make sense for the rooms to be decorated in the same way. I thought, you know what, maybe the initial owners of this hotel built onto it slowly, so it would make sense for some of the rooms to be decorated the same and others to be decorated in a different style. So that was the vibe that I was going for, and in each room, I tried to include the same objects, but actually different styles of the same object, if that makes sense. So I, of course, included a bed in every room because it wouldn't be a motel room without a bed in it, I don't think. And I also included a dresser in every room, a little dining area, a TV, and, of course, a bathroom, which you'll see me create in a minute. And also many, many lamps, both inside and outside each room. I also included a mirror in all of them, too. Of the, is it 8 rooms? I actually think I only built 7 rooms, now that I think about it. But of the 7 rooms that are available, I think I decorated them in 4 different styles. One of them was this greenish orange sort of tropical feeling one, which actually I think looked most like some of the rooms that were in the show in season 1. I also decorated one in this really cute buttery yellow floral sort of theme, and I actually forget what I ended up doing for the others. One thing that I really wish we had more of in The Sims 4 was more paintings and pictures, especially like photographed pictures, and preferably ones that are not of vampires or of whole baseball teams. I really wish we had more of those because I had to keep reusing the same pictures because, you know, in hotel rooms there are always like landscape pictures or some like, I don't know, pictures that or prints if you're staying at a really cheap motel that probably all came from Goodwill or whatever. I have a lot of Goodwill prints and I like them a lot. I have actually a ton of Goodwill picture frames, but you know the kind of pictures that I'm talking about. I needed a lot of those to make a convincing looking motel. But we really didn't have that many to work with, so I had to repeat a couple. I did try to vary them up as much as I possibly could, but it was pretty fun trying to make each room look similar, but not exactly the same, because I wanted each room to have, I don't know, a bit of individual character. Oh yeah, that's what I did. I used the blue carpet in some rooms, and then paired that with a sort of yellowy, brownish sort of theme. I thought that also looked very beachy. I thought that actually looked most like, I don't know, the vibe of the area in Oregon that the show takes place in. Kind of like the cold, beachy coast vibe. I don't know. It did take me a really long time to decide what beds to use in this build because I didn't want the beds to look too fancy. Also, we have a limited number of beds. That number has increased a lot, and we've got some really nice looking ones. But I did want to find beds that all kind of looked like they were in the same price range and sort of the same style. So usually when I furnish rooms, I will go in and I'll find one item that I definitely want in the build, and then I'll try to furnish the rest of the room around the color scheme of that item. So in this case, I thought that I would try to do that, namely with the beds. So to pick out the beds that I would use for this build, I actually just put out like 6 of them all on a lawn and fiddled around with the color swatches on each of them for a long time until I picked out, I think, 3 or 4 that satisfied me in the end. I don't record those parts because I think that they would be really boring because it's me just being indecisive in choosing things. But I do like the beds that I ended up with, and I do think that they have the vibe that I wanted them to have, sort of like a used furniture vibe. Is that a vibe? Is that a style? I don't know. Moving on now to the bathroom. So in each bathroom, there's a tub of bright fluorescent light, a mirror, a sink, and a toilet. You know, all the things that you would usually find in a bathroom. Like the bedrooms, I tried to do the same thing with the style. I didn't want to make the bathrooms look all exactly the same, but I wanted them all to be decorated in a similar style. But I didn't want them to be totally matchy-matchy and exactly the same in every way, so I varied up the style a little bit by using different colors. I think I actually use the same tile just in different swatches, and the same paint just in different swatches, and the same tub just in different swatches, and just try to mix and match them a little bit using the same objects but the different color swatches that are available in each of them. So yeah, furnishing the bathrooms was pretty easy. I knew right away that I wanted to use that sink, that particular sink, because it looks just like the ones that are in the series. And I knew also that I wanted the glow of a bright fluorescent light. I couldn't find exactly the kind of fluorescent light that I was looking for, so I sort of made one out of 2. And yeah, that's about it for the bathrooms. The bathrooms were really easy to finish. I just had to do the same thing again and again in several different rooms. So I guess that's one of the nice things about building a motel in The Sims 4, and maybe in real life, that each room is pretty easy to furnish once you've furnished one of them. Speaking of motels in The Sims 4, I actually haven't set this as any particular kind of lot yet. Actually, no, that's a lie. I recently was playing around with the Sims that I created, playing around with Norma and Norman, and I moved them into the house that I built after this, and I was trying to figure out how to get them to also own the motel too, and how to make it look like it was functioning like a motel should look. So I made it into a retail store where hopefully we're going to be able to sell pet treats out of a vending machine. I don't know if that's actually going to work. So I figured it would make sense for like Norman to be in the basement working on something. And maybe instead of doing taxidermy, he could be mixing up pet treats. I don't know. It might look sort of similar. It might actually function as a business. I'll let you know. If it doesn't work as a retail lot, then I will probably change the lot type, maybe just to generic, before I upload it to the gallery. Speaking of the gallery, my origin ID is Caligula YT. I'm sorry that I forgot to mention that in my murder house build. I'll probably go back and put my origin ID in the description bar now that I've remembered. But yeah, I actually ended up changing my origin ID to Caligula YT from, I forget actually what it was before. And I didn't want to mention that in a video until I was sure that it was up and running. So yeah, you should be able to find this build, my murder house build, and the next build that I'll be releasing on Sunday on the gallery very, very soon. So go ahead and download them and feel free to modify them to however you like if you're interested in doing that. The last part of this build was furnishing the office area. Now, initially I thought that I would also include a laundry room in the office because the Laundry Day stuff pack had just come out while I was building this. And so I was really tempted to do that, but I decided in the end to put a laundry room in the basement of the Bates house instead. So you will see laundry, just not in this build. And I really needed actually that tiny 2x2 space for the office anyway, because things were pretty cramped in there because the office was basically the size of a motel room, which were also very, very small. Anyway, we're now coming towards the end of the build. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and check out that Create-A-Sim of Norma and Norman Bates that I did a couple days ago. Just so you know, that Create-A-Sim is not a spoiler-free video. The 2 speed builds in this trio of videos are both spoiler-free, but not that Create-A-Sim, so only watch it if you don't mind me spoiling the series for you. I don't actually talk about that many spoilers, but there are definitely a couple of zingers that you may not want to hear. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. Go watch that Create-A-Sim if you're interested, and be sure to look out for the 3rd in this trio of videos on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you in my next one. Goodbye!